So name and age.
Pavel McGlave, 33 years old.
So Pavel, tell me what you do for a living.
I have 3 sides to my business. I have a hand falling side, tree service in north central Washington, and I run chainsaw safety trainings.
Okay, so how did you get into forestry?
Cutting firewood. I sold firewood for way too long.
Okay.
And then I worked for bigger companies and started falling for the firewood processor, and then met loggers. And then I loaded a dump truck full of firewood, and the guy didn't have any money, and he paid me with a Klein belt and Buckingham steel spurs.
Cool. So when you first started out climbing, what was that like, the learning curve?
Painful. No, just you know, kind of hacking it with a pickup truck. You know, didn't even have a top handle saw or anything, but nevertheless insurance. But
okay.
Yeah, so but you can only do that for so long.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you hand cutting to where you felt real comfortable in technique and ability and overall safety, I suppose, to make it with commercial hand falling?
Where I live, people don't really take you seriously before 5 years.
Okay.
So, you know, they once you've been doing it for 5 years and you haven't killed yourself, they'll start calling you.
Okay, gotcha. And
I was comfortable before that, but
okay.
that doesn't mean anything.
And where you're at, what's the logging operations that you're hand filling for? I mean, is it mostly cable?
Yeah, mostly cable or high-end small-scale logging.
Okay.
So with the tree service, we specialize in being able to market people's logs.
Okay.
So also a lot of wildfire fuel reduction. So we can do a pre-commercial thinning or a commercial thinning.
Okay.
And obviously commercial thinning, we're trying to get the most out of the logs.
Okay. And is there very much in the way of like Forest Service thinning over there?
No.
Okay.
Not really at all. Our Wenatchee forest is pretty broken.
Okay.
They really don't log that much, and the firefighter crews that normally do the thinning are too busy doing other stuff.
Okay. And what about helicopter logging in that region?
It's been around, absolutely. We have had several large fires. And then they'll sometimes salvage that with a helicopter, like the Tyee fire and Eniat and that kind of thing. But in general, it's too expensive and our wood isn't good enough.
I gotcha.
So it's eastern slope, so it's real tight grained, but not, not as tall, and it has more tape.
Okay. And what mainly is the species of trees over there you're cutting?
We have cedar, hemlock, larch, Douglas fir, and a lot of ponderosa pine.
Okay. Because of the export market, there's a lot of people that aren't working right now. I mean, is there anything that can be really done with that as far as other types of work, or there's just a lot of guys that are sitting on workers, what do they call it, workers' comp, or
just unemployment?
There you go.
Yeah, what we need, we have a lot of overstocked forests where we are that are full of fuels, and when we get fires, they're really bad. What we need is a small sawmill, that can handle, like a Hughes saw that can handle down to like 4 inches.
Okay.
So that would, we used to have one, Longview Fiber had one, that shut down, but we have all Forest Service ground is overstocked, and it's just sitting there ready to burn. So, whether it's maybe a cogen power plant or, a small sawmill or a sawmill that can handle saw logs, we just need a better market because trucking is what kills us.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
So domestic sawmills are further away than the export yards. So
okay. So what would you like to see change with the industry, if anything?
A way to break in new cutters. Our L&I rate is so high that if I hire somebody, they need to be able to produce right away, because it's paid by the thousand or by the ton. So we have no way of breaking in the next generation.
Yeah.
For production cutting, which is kind of going away anyways, but I would like to have some sort of incentive to be able to work with someone and not have to pay such a high L&I rate from the get-go.
Okay. Do you foresee anything happening in the States with worker training program, much like they do in BC and overseas, where people that start in forestry have to go through training units?
I think the states actually want to move away from hand cutting in general, and the mechanized stuff with the tethers is going to replace it. And
okay.
I think they're probably not going to do a training program like that. They would rather see people sit in a machine in a cab.
Okay.
So I don't think I just don't see it going that way.
Do you, personally, do you see like a projection on that? I mean, 5, 10, 15 years where there's not going to be very many hand cutters at all out there?
There'll always be hand cutters, whether it's guys that go back to tree service, or even, the skills need to be there for even residential tree work. Even being able to handle large trees in small areas, the skill set is not exactly the same, but there'll always be people that can do it. I just don't think it's going to be, it's not going to be a market that you can go join up, or a union or something like that. It's going to be odds and ends people that are holdovers.
Yeah, I gotcha. And I wanted to ask you too, how many years have you been doing this now?
12 years.
So in 12 years, is there one incident that you can think of that was like your scariest day or scariest incident out in the woods?
Well, something usually happens every day.
Yeah, there's usually something, isn't there?
No, I've cut myself. That's the worst.
Yeah, okay.
Cutting yourself and I've fallen on a chainsaw. But just the scariest thing is when stuff goes wrong and you've never dealt with it before.
Okay.
So you want to run through with your crew and the people you work with. You want to run through those scenarios before they happen for the first time.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. Okay. And is there a day that sticks out in your mind as being the best day where you're out working, whether it was arborist work or hand falling or doing the safety training? I mean, where it just sticks out and you go, man, this is it right here. I'm loving this.
Any day where the equipment doesn't break and you don't get hurt.
That's a good day, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty simple like that.
Well, man, you've answered a lot of great questions and given me a lot of insight into your life work in forestry. Pavel, I was wondering if you had a piece of advice to share with a young person that wanted to get into forestry, what would it be?
Find a good mentor. You're only as safe as the people you work with. Find an old person that's done it a long time and only listen to about 2/3 of what they say.
That sounds good. Well, hey, thank you very much for giving me some of your time.
Yeah, man.